Welcome back to my channel. We are obviously pre-recording. I probably will do that until I figure out the streaming thing. And we, of course, have my sisters, Ria and Sarah. I don't have the book on me, but the book we read was Princesses of the Midnight Ball by Jessica Day George. Who wants to start off? Awkward silence. I guess I will since I picked it.
Okay.
I love it. In case that isn't obvious.
Oh, was that the question? Because I'm pretty sure we all love it.
Yeah. I seriously almost did do the knitting patterns, but I didn't have time. But I love that she actually knows knitting, because I can't tell you how many books I've read where the main character is supposed to be a knitter, and they clearly know nothing about knitting. And I'm like, what's the point? What is the point?
Right.
Like, seriously. Who's your favorite character?
That's a really hard one.
You could say favorite princess, and that
I feel like
might
in
narrow
each
it down.
book, a different one stands out. You know, like overall, I think Poppy's one of my favorites, but in this particular book, I'm not sure.
Poppy's one of my favorites too. I like her.
You just like how sassy she is.
Literally. She's
You're like, oh, she's just bold and she's not afraid of anything, and she just does it.
Yeah, she's spunky.
Yeah.
Spunky.
She is what I would hope to be if
She
I were
reminds
in
me
that
of myself
situation.
at that age.
What was that? Sorry? Sorry, there was a delay.
I said she reminds me of myself at that age.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For me, I'd definitely hope that I was as spunky as her in that situation.
Yeah.
I really feel bad for,
because I feel like they all react so differently that it's like, I don't know, Rose just like has like a meltdown almost, where she's just like gets all depressed and can't handle it, and then she gets sick, and that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
And then it's like each one of them is a different degree of depressed, basically. And so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think she has the added pressure of being the eldest.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, like, who she marries determines who the next king will be. Also, she's responsible for her 11 sisters, basically, raising them kind of like a mom. And then on top of that, she has the responsibility of, going to the Midnight Ball and dealing with the King Under Stone. So I think all in all, she has so much on her. But I think Hyacinth, isn't she the one who, she never really fully recovers, right? If I'm remembering right?
Yeah, because, yeah.
Yeah, and I think
she's
that's
the spiritual one, right? Like, because it affects her so hard because she is spiritual, and she feels like they're basically sinning and failing at being good religious people because of what they have to do, and they're consulting with basically the devil. Mm-hmm. So yeah, she does have a really hard time with that.
But at the same time, like, it's not even them. It was their mom that made the deal, and they're forced to follow through with it. So it's like they're paying for the sins of their mother.
Yeah, but there's still like that guilt and that shame attached to it, because it's like, it's your mom. It's not just some lady you're filling the debt for. It's your mom. Mm-hmm. And she put you in that position, which I feel like, oh my gosh, how can you be such a bad mom? And they try to make it be like you can see both perspectives, but the whole time I'm just like, kind of silently judging her, because I feel like what mom would do that to their kids? I mean, she doesn't really realize that they would be the ones taking on the debt from her, but there's still that added where it's like sucking the life out of her, and she can't even be a very good mom because of this deal she made. And so it just keeps getting worse and worse, and then she's not able to be there for her kids, and now her kids have to take over, and you're just like, really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating, because it's just like, I can't imagine.
Yeah, but I got the feeling that the King Under Stone manipulated her before they even met.
Mm-hmm. Like
to cause her to maybe not be able to have kids, so then she would have to come to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then because they always talk about
right,
how they're not sure why the war started.
To her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, and then she makes a bargain with him, but he waits 12 years to get around to ending the war. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bankrupting the country and killing a lot of their people off and making them overall weaker.
Mm-hmm.
Probably so it's easier for him to take over.
Well, I don't know, because he doesn't really talk about taking over. He just his goal that he says is to get his sons to have children that can walk on.
Yes, but if you think about the original tale of why he was cast out, was because he tried to take over Westfalen. Westfalen, or however you say it.
And according to the back of the book, it's a V.
Yeah.
It sounds like such a German name or something.
Yeah. All of it is like it's Fraulein and.
It's in the back of the book. She says how to say certain names, and she said that it's a German influence, and they're actual German names.
Yeah.
Well, I listened to it on audiobook, so she was definitely pronouncing them with the German accent. And then you have different towns that are like, it's not, I don't know if it's inspired by, but it's like, sounds like you've got Irish accent, and then you've got like English accent, and then you've got like French accent, even though they're not actually French and English and Irish, but it's definitely a European inspired sort of setting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like,
which makes sense because, you know, kings and castles is kind of European.
When the what's the anger or something? The bad guy? Not the King Under Stone, but the religious guy. What's his? Is it Igor? Is it Bishop? Archbishop?
Yeah, Bishop.
Yeah, Bishop something.
Okay. When he comes, and then he's from Roma. Roma. So it's like, oh, it's Rome.
Like the Archbishop of Rome or whatever, or the Pope is in
Rome
or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So you can definitely see the European influence for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Which honestly is in a lot of stories. Like you can't stray too far from this world. They kind of keep, you have to find it.
In order for people to be able to relate, it has to have some grounding in something familiar. Plus a set of laws.
It's believable when it draws something real.
Mm-hmm. Like in Star Wars, how the Empire and the First Order are kind of inspired by Nazis. I mean, like, on the face of it, you can tell that their uniforms are, because if you look at their pants, they have the chicken bone pants or whatever you call them. That's what I call them, because they kind of look like a chicken leg, where, it has that big puff. And then, obviously they're evil, so.
Chicken bone pants.
And that's the only way I know how to describe them, because that's kind of what they look like. But yeah, you know, you have to kind of have something to draw.
They're drummies.
Yeah. They're very hard to pull off, I would imagine. Like, stylistically, in, like, modern times. Because I see so many people who, like me, are, like, they like to dress vintage style. And some of them will wear those. And I'm just like, you know, outside of the 1940s, I just don't think it works. But you do you.
Yeah, like walking down the street.
Could you imagine?
Just on my walk. Is there a war going on that I didn't know about?
I imagine them with, like, the riding boots and, like, a riding crop, because I don't know why, but I always associate it with that.
Interesting.
Yeah. But anyway. Yeah. I loved Galen. Is that how you say his name? In this, because he's literally like, I know I don't have a chance of getting the prize, but I still want to help. And then at the end, with, like, the king and everybody, it's so obvious.
But he's still hoping that he does.
He does.
Yeah, but it's like he doesn't want her to feel like a reward or like a forcing thing. Mm-hmm. So then they're both like, that weird little awkward bit.
He values her more than just as a prize.
Yeah.
Right. Because
that's why he's doing it, because he values her relationship and he loves her. Mm-hmm. Even though he doesn't realize he loves her right away. Obviously, it cultivates even more because of this, but I love the part when he gives them all flowers and they're all their flowers. Mm-hmm. Like, that is my favorite part.
I love that too.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
He's like, I really just wanted to give her flowers, but I don't want to be obvious. You're like, oh my gosh, of course it's obvious. Like,
especially when he sent her the shawl. I'm like, yeah, that's obvious. Yeah, that took forever for you to knit. I know.
And it was only for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the fact that the shawl could turn into the boat was, you know.
I kind of like the little... Handy. Yeah. I kind of like the added little thing about...
That was an unexpected part.
That was unexpected. I like how we find out that the silver woods were grown because their mom dropped a crucifix or whatever.
A brooch that was...
Yeah.
That was blessed by
yeah, or whatever. I found that interesting. Not that I'm up on... Because I feel like that's kind of more towards Catholic stuff, because they tend to bless stuff or something. I don't know. I'm not Catholic. But, yeah.
And then it grew the forest. And in the way, the forest and the gates is what's protecting them.
Yeah. And I kind of just like that little bit.
It's like, she's not... I mean, she did think about them. Kind of.
Well, it was not intentional, I don't think, but yeah.
Well, they don't really say, obviously, because she's not there to
say
anything, but they kind of just leave it as it could be.
But also, like, how could she know that that's what would happen and that it eventually would actually save her daughters in the future?
Right. Especially because she knew very little.
Yeah. I found it interesting how he had to write their names on the branches in order for it to actually kill them.
For only the King Understone.
Oh, only the King Understone? Yeah. Okay.
No,
this is Sarah. Are you guys
well, that was just... You only killed the king and then the king's heir, but the others they only injured. So I think it had to be written on the silver in order to actually kill them.
No, because
the others were just injured.
Because one of them, I don't remember which one.
Or did the guy Lily shot die?
They didn't he
I don't know.
They didn't confirm that he died.
Yeah.
But I think I remember that several of them did, more than two.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
That when one of their partners, he's like, I don't die as easy as the others because I'm the King Understone now.
Yeah, but I seem to remember Rose's
Right, that's right. 'Cause
partner.
they absorbed the power, so they had to be killed specially.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I seem to remember Rose's partner, Prince or whatever, surviving in the next books.
That's a secret,
We know that.
Yeah.
We're only talking about this book, Brittany.
Yeah, Brittany.
I can't help it. Oh, Zoe. I don't know.
You
They
know-
don't say. I kind of wish they all died, but
Of course.
then there wouldn't be 2 other books.
No, the
they're
second
trapped
one
in
doesn't
there.
have to
That's
do
the
with it.
important bit, okay? All we know is they're trapped down there, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're trapped down there. The end of they don't have to go down.
Yeah.
They can't come up. That problem solved.
Yeah. What I
That's
want
all
to
they
know
care about.
is what's with the clothes. Like when they are trapped down there, the princesses are trapped and they're forced to wear the clothes from that realm.
Because
They're
they're
all
there for a
black.
day.
Yeah, and they're all black and they have a weird smell. I'm like, what is with
Well, they
that?
weren't black. They were different shades of purple, turquoise, blue,
Like mauve and
black,
blue.
gray. They're like very.
They're all
I would say that everything is more dull.
Mm-hmm.
cold.
And of
Yeah.
course they smelled because they're probably made with like earth like I don't know.
I don't know. It's a weird detail.
Well, I mean,
They've never seen the light of day.
Yeah.
yeah. They were there for a day and they needed clothes cuz you know, how many times did like royalty change? A lot.
Yeah.
Breakfast,
Well,
lunch, and
it's almost
dinner
like they're
almost.
prisoners, you know? You put prisoners in their drab, kind of boring clothes, and then it's part of the way of controlling them, sort of, is taking away their clothes and making them change into the uncomfortable clothes.
Yeah, and the whole now
Which
you
is
have
reinforces the fact that they're
nothing from the other
prison.
world.
Yeah. I think it was that and then also trying to break their spirit. Like, you are here, you have no choice, and you're stuck here for the rest
Because
of your life.
It did work though. Because of that, they were all like, "This is the end. This is it." But they were like,
Oh, yeah,
"Last
it broke
resort.
their
We're gonna
spirit.
blow this place up. Okay, we're dying first."
Yeah. And
Their
then
plan
Rose
was
trying
so stupid. I was like, what are you thinking right now? This is so stupid.
Yeah. And
It's
then
so
Rose
good
coming
that
up.
they got rescued right away, because otherwise they would have been in so much trouble, because they would have just screwed everyone over.
Yeah.
Like, on land and under stone. Like
Like-
everyone would have been in trouble because of their plan.
Yeah.
Let's invite them up to the. I'm pretty sure when in stories usually when you invite something in or to a certain place,
Mm-hmm.
then you give them permission and then things happen.
It's as stupid as using a Ouija
Exactly.
board. That's like
Yes.
inviting a whole heck of a lot of problems.
Right.
Like, literally, it's the same thing because they're all demons.
Yeah, and then Galen's like, "Oh my gosh, Rose, no!" And then she's like, "Well, at least we'd be out of here." And he's like,
Like, what
Yeah,
are you thinking?
"But
right
you
now?
just
Shut up.
unleash them on the world."
Yeah. She's like, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And I'm like, okay, I get your desperation, but sweetie, you need to think a little bit more since you're going to be
Bigger
the
than
future
you.
queen.
You gotta think
No.
bigger than you.
Yeah. I think
Stop being
yeah.
so self-centered.
Well, I think at that point, what she was thinking is, I want to save my sisters, like, too. As the eldest, I think she felt like they're her responsibility. So she's like, I have to do something. So, and that's the only thing she
But
could
at
think
what
of.
cost?
I know, right?
You know?
It was
At
a
what
stupid.
cost do you think yourself
Everything has
and your
a
sisters?
Yeah. Like, literally.
I don't know if I have a favorite character. because I mean, like, I like a few different princesses, but then I also like other characters too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to pick just one. Just like I can't pick my favorite book or movie or song or stuff like that.
True.
It's just so hard to pick one.
Plus, there's so many princesses, and they all have things that you like about them,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like it's hard to choose just one.
Mm-hmm.
But I just had a thought. You know what would be a really cool book for Jessica Day George to write after this is a prequel of how he came, King Understone came to power, and how the magicians had to lock him in his realm. I think that would be a very interesting book.
Ooh.
Maybe just like a little novella. It doesn't have to be a saga or anything. I just think that would be kind of an interesting.
Well, I mean, and it's 12 magicians getting together, so it could be really interesting. Just the 12 different perspectives of all these random characters realizing they have to pull together to imprison this guy because he's gotten really crazy. So
Yeah.
well, that would be really interesting.
Plus, being able to see Walter, that's the gardener with the stub leg, right? Him as a young guy.
Yes, I think so.
And then the peddler woman that Gale meets on the road, seeing her, Galen meets on the road, seeing her young and seeing like the backstory between those two of, you know, Walter and the old crony as they call her.
I almost feel like they wouldn't even be young in this story because it's like they've always been around.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It almost just like it feels like even when this happened, they probably weren't that young.
Yeah.
But they still are around because of magic.
Before they became
because they had to immortalize themselves. That's not the right word.
Become immortal?
They had to make themselves not die. Immortalize, that's the word. So that they could protect the world from the King Understone in case he ever rose up again. And others like him, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like they're not even going to be young then. Just because if you're going to immortalize yourself, wouldn't you want to make yourself stay young? Not like slowly age till you're getting really old? I don't know. Then I would feel like they would still be young looking.
True.
But if they were already old, then they would stay old-ish.
Or what they could be is
that's just my thought. I don't know.
Yeah. Or they could be very young when they imprison the King Understone, and then it takes them a couple decades to figure out how to become immortal to stop him in the future and others like him in the future.
Yeah, but I got the feeling that, I mean, because they were the magicians, I feel like that's a gift that you're born with in this sense. And so I feel like they've already had that ability. Because it never said that they made themselves immortal. I mean, it said that they made themselves walk all over the earth to spread themselves around and
I'm pretty
fight off creatures like that.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it says that they made themselves immortal.
I remember them saying they decided that they needed to stick around so that they could protect the world from others like him. They literally say like they made the conscious decision to stay living. So maybe they could have before, but they didn't, and now they did.
Oh wait, wrong one. I'm trying to look up my digital version of it.
What part was it in, though?
Yeah.
You remember what part they say it, Sarah?
I'm pretty sure it's in this one.
Oh, it's so hard to remember because story's so like chopped up, where it's like intervals of pieces of information as it goes along. But I feel like it's towards the beginning, not the first chapter, but somewhere around there.
I don't know.
Because they do like the prelude, which has all that information, but I don't know if it has all of that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's when
No,
they're talking in the garden or something, when he kind of, or when they were walking through the village and they heard the story being told with the puppets or whatever it was, not puppets.
That was
the storyteller was telling the children the story as its own, and
but it had nothing to do
how
with
they had to imprison him.
It was about how he had gotten all those princesses pregnant.
Yeah, it wasn't about how
to make his
how
sons.
He got imprisoned.
Yeah.
It was just how he has sons.
I'm pretty sure.
From the other princesses. Which in the
that was really creepy.
In the whatever telling in the village, they say 4 princesses. But how on earth does he have 12 sons?
He must have done that to a bunch of princesses then.
It was all different women. That was just one example of 4 women that he impregnated, and then there was others.
Because I always remembered it as, I don't know if it was, I think I remembered it as just all of them being sisters having his sons.
It doesn't say that. It just says different women. All of them have different moms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find it so creepy how he's just going around getting all these women pregnant. You know?
Yeah, well, it could be just magic, so then it's different.
Yeah, I can't
Well,
find
it has to be because the parents go up to because they hear the girls crying and they're all giving birth and nobody knew they were even pregnant. So it's like all of a sudden they're just having babies. Someone would have noticed if they were pregnant.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of details missing. Probably on purpose.
Right.
Just to be like, because yes, yeah.
Well, and
because it would get really dark and really creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, you're also finding facts along with Galen. As he's discovering stuff, you're discovering stuff. Mm-hmm. So what he knows, you know, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why it's so choppy.
Yeah.
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 That's why I want a prequel. I'm normally not a big fan of prequels, but this would be interesting.
Well, and I feel like Jessica Day George tried to make it so that story was kind of told. Even though there's not all the details, you still get a really good gist of what's going on, so that it's not necessary to have a prequel.
Yeah.
Because without all that information, you wouldn't understand the story that's going on. So she does have a lot of information, but it's still like mysterious enough to make it where you don't know everything, and that's kind of a good thing because it makes it more intriguing and interesting and magical.
Yeah. I know I had to do that in one of my books that I'm currently writing, where a lot of stuff is affected by things that happened in the past. And so I had to write what happened in the past in order to write what was happening right then. So I had it at least straight in my own mind. So yeah, it definitely helps having it written. Whether or not it ever gets released is a different thing, though. So I guess if she ever was going to, she would have already by now, because they've been out for a while. And she's moved on to other series.
And she has a lot of different books that have come out since then. Yeah.
Yeah. So the door is probably closed, just like
It's also probably best because you don't want her to do it and then you not like it. And
True.
then it kind of can spoil things.
True.
So or it's what you thought was going on, not what it was going on, and it's like you have to reread it because you're like, okay, so if this is what's going on, then I interpreted this wrong or whatever. Because there's always those little gaps that you fill in with your own imagination, right?
Mm-hmm.
And without that, it just kind of gets too much told rather than experienced.
Yeah.
I think.
Definitely.
Because part of the wonders of reading books is leaving it. You have just enough description to help the reader use their imagination for the rest.
Yeah.
Because you're painting a picture, and it's not like a paint by numbers. It's like a fill in the blank kind of picture.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why the book's always better.
Unique to each reader.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's why the book is always better, because it's always better in your imagination, because there are no limits in your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with the studio, they kind of have limits from what's physically possible and budget-wise. Although, I mean,
this would be a very hard story to make a series or a movie or anything, a play, whatever. It would be because of the magic,
so much CGI,
the whole palace in the underworld. That would be quite. I mean, it would be really like cool to see if they could like do it.
I don't know. I think the hardest part would be to find an actor who can actually knit.
With the needle facing down.
I've literally seen that, and I'm just like,
I hate that. I hate that so much. Every time there's a movie when they're knitting and the needles are down, I'm like, you don't know how to knit. No one in this room knows how to knit, seriously.
I know, right?
You can't tell them to flip their needles around. Come on, you're gonna drop so many stitches.
At least learn basics, like how to hold needles. Like, why? Why? But that's a rant for another day.
Because that's not an important thing.
No. But it's important to me as a knitter.
I think it is.
Well, plus, I think that's one of the things that kind of, like, endeared me to him right away, is how he described how, like, he found knitting to be kind of soothing, or, you know, he liked knitting, and I'm like, somebody like me! Because I find knitting to be very soothing. Like, if I'm stressed or whatever, it really does help calm me down. So I kind of love that little detail.
But it also was a necessity at one point for him.
It was. Which is why he's so fast at making socks. And
it's cool because it just shows that he is self-sufficient. Doesn't, say this is a woman's job and women should be the ones doing this. And, like, even when he's staying with his aunt and cousin, they're like, oh, from now on, we'll knit all your socks. You don't need to worry about it. And he still does it because he's like, okay, but I want to, so...
Yeah.
I appreciate your efforts, but at the same time, I can do it myself.
Yeah. I love that at the end, how he wanted to help take down the tree that was the portal, but they're like, no, because you're married to the princess now, you shouldn't do that. That's not seemly proper or whatever. Yeah. And I love that, and I think that will make him such a great king, because he knows what it's like to have nothing. And I think he'll make a great king.
He's just like, well, whatever you need to do, you need the job done, you just do it.
Mm-hmm. He has a very no-nonsense attitude.
And I love how he's not like all the other soldiers either, where they have like the glory from the battle and stuff, and he's just like, no, I hate everything about this. Like, I hate that we had to fight, and I hate the gruesomeness of war. And, like, as a future king, he'll probably go more the diplomatic route in trying to avoid war, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he's willing to do war if that's what it takes, but he really, really doesn't like it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of different for most soldiers.
Yeah, and he said that other soldiers were like, the country owes me now, and he's just like, no. And when people were like, well, how was bringing up the war?
Nobody owes you anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing up the war, and they ask him questions about it, and he's just like, doesn't want to talk about it, and
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's like he lost his whole family to it.
Because that's ugly.
Yeah. And, I mean, if you think about it, he had to take up his dad's musket and fight at 15. Like, that is very, very young. So,
yeah.
We don't know how old he was in the book.
No. It says he's not yet 19.
Oh.
I reread it.
You reread it. Okay.
Because we were talking, and I was like, how old was he?
Say that.
And then Brittany's like, oh, he's got to be like 21. I'm like, no, that doesn't sound right.
I was guesstimating. I was wrong.
Yeah, it says not yet 19.
But, you know, like, he's not a...
Yeah, because they're like, oh, you probably never even saw a battle. And he's like, well, actually... because my dad was on the front line. And so when he died, I started fighting. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, he never really got to be a kid. Because he was with his parents on the battlefield. And then he was a soldier on the battlefield. So, he is... I think it's a very good way to bring his character to be like, I did it because it needed to be done, but I don't like it. I think that's a really great aspect. Because a lot of times, and I mean, like, I guess it could happen, but I feel like a lot of times they're like, revel in it or something, you know, and I'm just like, it's kind of refreshing to have a different kind of character coming back from the war with a fresh, unique perspective of it.
Yeah. The only thing that I don't like is how much he swears.
Who swears?
Galen. Of course, it never says.
Which is understandable because he's a
Right now,
soldier.
get 70% off NordVPN, only $3.49
Hold on.
a month. Plus, you get
Something
an additional
is
month free.
playing.
Check out the link
Why
in the
are you
description for more
playing?
details.
That's weird. Okay, we're back.
What were we saying?
What happened?
Oh.
Some video in the
It's
background
swearing.
started playing.
Swearing.
Oh yeah, you were talking about some swearing.
Oh, yeah. So they don't actually say what words he's saying. They just say that he cursed. Which is, another word for swearing.
At least they didn't have the
They're
curse word in it.
Like he could, they said, he
but
could
it took
swear like a sailor, and his father was proud.
So soldiers tend to be swearers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
But
besides,
he still has manners and, like, knows how to talk to a lady and stuff. So that's kind of cool, too, because his parents raised him to respect women and elderly, which is, like, really rare. So even though he was raised in such a weird scenario, he still has that respect for his elders and for women and knows how to talk to them with respect.
Like yeah. I thought it was so funny how they met by her literally, like, jumping into she's like,
she
woo!
fell into the fountain because he snuck up on her.
Yeah. I thought that was so funny.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing, boy?
I know, right? It was... And he felt so bad when she got sick. I'm like,
it's just like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was his fault.
But he doesn't even seem like he's sorry when it happens. He feels sorry after she gets sick.
Yeah.
Like, he was just kind of, like, chill about it. Like, oh, are you just in the bath or something? You look cold for swimming.
Yeah. I love how he, like, lifts her up out of it, too. It's so funny. It's like the cliche meeting, right? But it's awesome, and I love it.
Yeah, totally.
Mm. Yeah.
It's a little fascinating how the gardeners have access to the princesses and therefore have fallen in love with them, and vice
Two of
versa.
them. Two of them now.
Yeah.
The king should be like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The king's folly
Yeah.
led to the king's daughters getting in love.
Yep. Two gardeners, both soldiers,
Mhm.
former soldiers, which I find funny.
Because they make good husbands.
I guess so.
I thought that was so funny how Lily said that. I was just, or not Lily, excuse me, Rose. I was just like, wow. And then at the end, when his uncle was being like that, like he's pretending like his son's dead, and his son comes back and he's still like,
I know, you're like, wait, what? He's still alive, and you're acting like that in front of the king, nonetheless.
And the king is like, "You're an idiot. That's your son. Just go to him."
Yeah. If I was the king, I would have been like,
Like, dude, just fuck it up.
yeah.
Your son is alive. Be happy.
Yeah.
So many other parents didn't have their sons come back from the war for real. So,
And the fact that he's mad because he gave up tending the garden because he thought the garden was more important than the war.
No.
Like, what?
It
Where are
was
your
he
priorities,
didn't
man?
want his son to die. It was a really selfish reason. He didn't want his son to die.
Yeah.
So
So he pretended he was dead because he didn't want him to die, and then he didn't die, so he disowned
no,
him.
he
that's-
disowned him
The opposite.
I don't know.
because he went away.
I think it was twofold. He was mad that he fell in love with the princess
Yeah.
and was above his station. And then he had the audacity to go to war.
No,
Fight for
no,
his
no,
country.
go against his okay
Yeah.
to go to war. Because
Yeah.
he said no, which Galen, he said no to Galen a few times, and he's like, "Oh, okay." Walks away and does it anyway.
Yeah.
He's like, "I've been my
It's
own
just
man
like,
since
you're
I'm
a little
15.
bit prideful and you have more power than you really do. So,
Mhm.
sorry, just because you're my uncle, I've only known you for a short time. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. Thanks anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he basically has raised himself since he was like really young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Besides
Stubborn
the
old
fact
fool.
that it goes against what he was raised to believe and do. You know? Like, he's like, my parents would probably be behind me in this, so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you have to say because it's not what my parents would have said, probably.
Mhm.
Especially because
I think.
his mom and married his dad, and she went against her whole family. So she was Not to-
Exactly.
not disowned, but like, you know, separated from them.
Yeah.
So it already started off that way. They were already, you know, disconnected from the family.
Mm-hmm. But I love the aunt and cousin. Mostly the aunt. The cousin was a little weird, but I mean,
You mean the girl, not
not the guy, because I mean he barely met him.
well, there's two, so that's why you picked.
The girl cousin. What's her name?
Wasn't it Heinrich and I don't remember what her name was.
It's UK
Yeah.
some you I don't know.
Something.
But yeah, Heinrich is the boy.
I guess it's not important.
I guess not.
Well,
I'm
it's
horrible
also-
at remembering weird names.
Yeah, it's also, you know, really hard to pronounce, so that's why it's hard to remember.
Yeah. I have the same problem when I'm reading Tuesdays at the Castle, because there's so many weird names and names
Yeah.
of places where I'm just like, I can't pronounce
I'm like,
you.
as much as I love these books, can you get a little bit easier on the names, Jessica, please?
Yes.
Because, you know, it's difficult.
We love you, but please make it easier for us.
Yeah, just normal names.
That's why I like the audio books, because then I don't have to guess the pronunciations of anything, because it just reads it to me. So I'm like, oh, yeah, obviously it's that. And then I look at it on paper and I'm like, oh, okay.
Where did you get the audiobook? Because I've looked everywhere and I can't find them for most of them.
I have Audible. I'm on Audible right now. I'm doing the 1 month free trial for Audible, and so far I've read like 10 books. So I may keep it. I haven't decided yet. It's kind of a lot, but it's like $13 or $14 a month to keep it, and it's like, ooh.
You have the one where
But
you
I'm
can
thinking
listen.
about canceling Netflix and then getting Audible.
Do you have the one where you can listen to the Plus catalog, but you don't get like a free one every month? I did that for a little while.
I get the free one. I get the credit every month and then the Plus catalog.
Oh, okay.
So every month I get one of the paid to listen to with that.
Okay. I've done both, and I don't know. I've just had such a hard time finding books that I wanted to read on it a lot or something. I don't know. I just went through a route where I'm like, no,
that's
there's
what I'm
nothing
worried about, is running out of books that are free, and then only listening to one book a month just doesn't seem worth the $14. So I don't know if I'll keep it or not. But right now, because it's new, there's lots of books to read, but I don't know how long that'll last.
So you're saying Jessica Day George books are on there? Because I've looked on there and they weren't there when I looked.
Only some, but yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll have to check that out again. Yeah. Audiobooks are so much easier for me because I can listen to them while I'm at work. And that makes it so much easier for me.
Yeah.
So
I like it because I can crochet while I'm listening, and so that way I feel like I'm getting something done while I'm reading, and then it's also like I can listen while I'm taking care of Melanie and everything, so it's a lot easier to not have to put my book down every 30 seconds, because the last book we did, I was like up and down, up and down, up and down with my book while trying to take care of Melanie, and I'm like, Melanie, stop putting that in your mouth. Melanie, stop playing with that. And it was just hard to like keep putting my bookmark back, and then I'd walk away and Melanie would take my bookmark out and I'd have to try to remember where it was. So that was a little frustrating.
1-year-olds, right? She'll be 2 soon. In May. It's weird to think
She's
about.
a year and a half, so.
Wow. She's growing so fast. But at least she's gonna be a bookworm, right?
Oh yeah, she loves books, like, a lot. And it's funny because she'll take the books off of the shelf, and although it's not been funny lately because she likes to draw in my books, so I have to be very careful about making sure to get all of her crayons and colored pencils from her, because the next thing I know, she's drawing on things she shouldn't, and lately it's been my books, so that's not fun.
Oh my gosh, no.
But she loves looking through my books and pretending to read them. And she'll just sit there going, ah-ba-da, pretending to read along. And then she reads her own books, and it's so cute.
Oh, that is so adorable. Oh, I was probably like that. I remember falling asleep. Like, I would look at, like, the pictures of stuff, and then I apparently would fall asleep with, like, the book literally on my face when I was little.
Yeah.
Yeah. We probably have pictures of that somewhere.
I know we do with Ashley.
Well, I found her asleep in her room with a pile of books surrounding her one time. So I went in there, I'm like, it's so quiet in there, what happened? And she's sound asleep on the floor with books completely surrounding her. Like, oh my gosh.
A girl after my own heart. Oh. All right, shall we pick the next book?
Sure.
All right, my nomination is The Little White Horse by Elizabeth Gouge. I'll read the back of it. When orphan young Maria Merriweather arrives at Moonacre Manor, she feels as if she's entered paradise. Her new guardian, her uncle Sir Benjamin, is kind and funny. The manor itself feels like home right away, and every person and animal she meets is like an old friend. But there is something incredibly sad beneath all of this beauty and comfort. A tragedy that happened years ago, shadowing Moonacre Manor and the town around it. And Maria is determined to learn about it, change it, and give her own life story a happy ending. What can one solitary girl do? That's the description.
Oh, is that like
Interesting.
the movie is the Moonacre or something?
Mm-hmm. It's
Secret
based.
of Moonacre.
The Secret of Moonacre, the movie, is based off of this, but shocker, the book is better, and for some reason they changed a lot in the movie.
Well, I mean, you were just reading the description. It said her uncle Sir Benjamin is kind and funny. I'm like,
In the
movie,
not.
he's like a jerk face.
Yeah. The book is really good. I'm just gonna say. I love it. Alright, what is your nomination, Sarah?
Okay, so I finally decided while we were talking, because I was torn between a couple different books, but I think I really want you girls to read this one, so I'm going to pick Silver Swift by Natalie Lloyd, and it's so good. I just read it this week, but I'm probably going to read it again because it was that good. And I like it also because it's kind of over Christmas holiday. I mean, it's not too Christmassy, but it is over Christmas, so it's got that going for it. But it's about a mermaid called Silver Swift, and she's amazing. And it's from the perspective of this little girl who's learning about the mermaid from her grandmother. And they go on an adventure to find Mermaid Cove, which is where all the mermaids sing every winter solstice, which is basically Christmas. And so, yeah, it's really good.
Sounds pretty good. I mean, mermaid. We all love mermaids.
Yeah, really.
This one has a unicorn in it. I'm just gonna put that out there. a white unicorn. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
All right, Maria, what's yours?
Because it's on my mind, and I just think that it's great. I think we should read The Princess of Glass, which is the second book
Do you want to grab it off my shelf?
in the 12 Dancing Princess series.
To continue this series?
Yeah.
I was kind of torn between nominating that one too because it does continue the story.
Yes. It does continue the characters, but it's a new
one of the
magical-
princesses.
What?
It's from a new princess's perspective.
Well, it's more like Cinderella.
Yeah. This one was the 12 Dancing Princesses, or, based off of that one. This one is Cinderella, and then the third one is based off of Red Riding Hood.
But still being the 12 Dancing Princesses, obviously.
Yeah.
So, the description.
Yeah.
Which I know you two know, but anyway. One good curse leads to another. Having once been cursed to dance every night, Princess Poppy has vowed to never again put on a pair of dancing slippers. So she is reluctant to participate in a royal exchange program that her father and some other neighboring kingdoms have cooked up. At first, life in far off Britain isn't so bad. Not when there's a handsome prince promising friendship. And maybe something more. But when a helpless servant named Eleonora enters the picture and sets her sights on the prince, too, which girl will win his heart? And And who is behind the magnificent gowns and slippers that the penniless Eleonora has been wearing to the ball? Only Princess Poppy can see through the magic that holds the rest of the kingdom in its spell, and having fought against one curse before, she's just the girl to take on another. So it kind of goes forward into the future slightly, because I think, how old is she? She's like 13 in the first one, right?
Like 14, yeah, something like that.
And I think she's like,
she's got to be at least a marrying age.
Probably 17.
Right? Yeah, 17, 18, 19, right about there.
Ish.
It's really hard because I don't think
she's 19.
I don't know. Like,
okay,
I'm just
marrying
guessing.
age depends on when they are. These books are setting, like set back in time.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously are back in time, but it used to
be 14 could be marrying age.
13, 14, 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
It's fluctuated.
Yeah.
It's whenever they come into womanhood, to put it, Yeah.
Thank goodness we're past that, right? Because that's way too stinking young. I mean, you don't even know who you are at that age. How could you get married? Like, it's so weird to me.
And then you also get to know Daisy a little because they're twins. So, obviously they have that closer connection.
Yeah. All right, let's vote. Maria, you first. What book do you vote?
I don't know. Don't make me go first. Sarah, go first.
I had to be the tiebreaker last time, so I'm okay with going first. I think I'll do Princess of Glass, and I hopefully will be able to find it somewhere, because I could not find any of them at the library. And I'm not sure if that's on Audible or not, but that's my vote.
Okay. Maria?
No, you go first.
Okay. My vote is for the mermaid one.
It won't be the tiebreaker.
What?
Silver Swift.
Silver Swift. My vote is for Silver Swift. What's yours?
I don't know. I like mermaid stories, but I also liked the whole aspect of the what is it called? Yearbook. Because I liked the movie kind of storyline and how Maria was. I don't know. I liked that kind of, but I also like my book too. Can we do a threesome?
We all vote for different ones?
No, I was gonna say read all three.
Oh,
you have to be the tiebreaker. I had to do it last time. That's how it works.
Are you literally voting for this one?
No.
There can only be one.
That would be bad. Yeah.
Okay, fine. I vote for Princess of Glass.
Okay.
Okay.
Princess of Glass by Jessica Day George.
Book 2.
We're continuing the saga.
Sounds good. And we got 2 weeks later?
Yep. 2 weeks. Are you still gonna be here then? No? Probably not.
No.
She's leaving the day after Christmas.
Oh. So soon? I guess.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just looking at the
Danielle
knitting.
has to be back to work on Monday.
I guess that makes sense. I'm looking at the knitting patterns in the back of this one. There's the anti-love spell. Ooh, should I not say that? That's spoiler alert.
Okay. Don't read the titles.
I won't read the titles, fine. But at least these are full patterns because in the first book, they didn't have the full pattern.
To be honest, you kind of given away a lot of secrets about the other two books in just talking about the first book. You should edit that out or something, because it might be...
I do have a couple things I need to edit out.
Nah, it's not that bad though. Like, I don't know.
Okay,
I'll decide in
so
editing.
More intriguing.
So it's like if a person's watching
we
this,
know it makes sense to us, but if
Yeah.
you haven't read it, it doesn't make sense.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, if you're coming at it when you're reading it for the first time,
And maybe
and you're hearing us talk about it, you're like, what? What? I thought we read the same book here.
or maybe it'll be like, "Ooh, that sounds intriguing. I want to read that so I understand."
Not when you give them the punchline.
It's not the punchline.
By the time we'll be able to learn about it.
Oh well.
It's fine. We're good.
It's whatever. All right. If you want to read that, you can.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, apparently. All right. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the book, and I hope you enjoy the next book. Goodbye. Want to say goodbye?
Bye.
You said that last time.